hello and welcome to Recovery ASMR. Today we've been having a bad day. Hey, I don't want to manifest it for you if you just started your day, but boy, have I been having a bad day. And I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to do some questions out of the Step Working Guide of Narcotics Anonymous. And if you're new to 12-step, you might not know that all 12-step is the same steps, basically, with one or two words different in terms of like what you're letting go to a higher power. And I've done the steps in different fellowships. I've never used this guide before, and my sponsor recommended it. I am technically on step 4 because the act of like turning my will and my life over to the care of a higher power, as I understand it, has occurred. There's a 3rd step prayer that I say every single morning, like on my knees. The first thing I do, I roll out of bed, I get on my knees, I say my prayer, my cat tries to bite my toe. That's what happens. I have a cat, Broccolini. She just turned 1. Happy birthday, Brock. Happy birthday, Big Weenie Leenie. She tries to bite my toe while I say the 3rd step prayer. It's God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. As thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, so that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will. May I do thy will always. May I do your will, higher power, always. And I just say it because I'm like, I don't know what else to do, and apparently it's supposed to help. And I've recently had a ton of weird, annoying situations that I don't know what to do, and they're hard, and I feel stuck, and today was a tough day. My day job ran over. I can't exercise. I'm not going to make it to the meeting I want to do, and I have to do step work. So I'm taking you on this journey with me, and maybe as I'm reflecting on the questions, you will too, and it'll help open something up for you. I'm just starting where I am at, which is on page 23 of the NA Step Working Guide. And we are in the self-will section. It is just like the random top of the page I stopped at. The last thing I wrote in my notebook is, there's no such thing as falling behind, which is what my sponsor said to me when I said, I'm on step 4, but I haven't finished the questions for step 3. But like, the step is an action, so it's like, the questions are meant to help you. And also, my sponsor told me that I'm on step 4. They're like, you're on step 4. But, I don't know, maybe answering these questions will be what my brain needs today. Surrendering, so I'm reading now. Surrendering our self-will doesn't mean we can't pursue goals or try to make changes in our lives and the world. Surrendering our self-will does not mean we cannot pursue goals or try to make changes in our lives and in the world. So surrendering your self-will, you can still pursue goals, you can still try to make changes in your life. And avocado thanks in your life and in the world. It does not mean we have to passively accept injustices to ourselves or to people for whom we are responsible. We need to differentiate between destructive self-will and constructive action. This has been a very, very hard thing for me, differentiating between destructive self-will and constructive action. I had a very, very hard situation situation happen, my initial reaction was certainly destructive self-will. It was from a place of ego. And then everything I did after, I think, was a lot more measured and constructive and, like, trying to make it better. But in a lot of ways, because people who don't have a restorative mindset are not, like, willing to be like, oh, we can, like, move forward from this. It was like, you already messed up with your original reaction, so it's over for you. And one of my favorite things about the 12 steps is that it's like, it's never over. It's never over for you. Like, you might have to make amends. You certainly might have to change and do differently, but it's about not giving up. It's about continuing to come back and actually working the step, like making changes in your life. And that, to me, just gives me so much hope for my own future, because I'm not perfect and none of us are. So yeah, I've in the past, in many situations, reacted in a way that to life that, like, sucked, probably. You know, and I paid the consequences for many a time. And also, there have been people that, you know, wanted me to passively accept injustices for myself and people I'm responsible for. And, like, I can't do that either. I don't have it in me to accept people being malicious and awful for the sake of being malicious and awful. I don't want to live in a world where there's no chance for restoration. And so I'm trying to embody that with my growth mindset. And it means forgiving others, obviously. But it also means, like, forgiving myself and trying to move on. Just trying to do better and move on. Okay. The first question here is, will pursuing my goals harm anyone? How? Will pursuing my goals harm anyone? How? So my goals right now, I guess to answer this I have to know what they are, which is, like, take better care of myself and stay sober. Of myself, my family, like my loved ones, and stay sober. I also, I want to forgive myself and maybe one day others for what happened in this past year. It was awful. And I want financial security, which ties to I think if I just say my goal is take better care of myself, my family, and stay sober, like, and everything that entails, which is, like, financial security, then no, I don't think pursuing them harms anyone. But I also don't think, or it hasn't been my experience, that good intentions prevent harm. In other words, that could be my whole sole intention, is to take better care of myself, stay sober, and take care of my family, and I could still be doing harm without knowing it. So, I guess, like, So I guess, like, ultimately my goal has to be to have hope and have faith. I just have to, like, have hope and have faith that that my best is good enough. And two, that I'll learn what I need to learn when I need to learn it. And three, that I can do so somehow with grace and dignity. So, I mean, other than that, it's just a giveaway / pass on what is so freely given to me. And the thing is, like, that's my answer to one question. There's like 53 questions in this chapter. So this is why I used to be like more task oriented, where I was like, I'm gonna do the entire self-will section, and then I would just start beating myself up because I'm like, oh my god, it's my third night in this section. But so if that's happening to you, I recommend going the other way. So there's like task oriented goal setting, and then there's time oriented goal setting. And so just like with Duolingo, I'm like, I'm just gonna do 20 minutes a day. If I do more than that, cool. In the pursuit of what I want, is it likely that I will end up doing something that adversely affects myself or others? Explain. That's the other things. These are so repetitive. In pursuit of what I want, is it likely that I will end up doing something that adversely affects myself and others? Explain. Okay. When it comes to money, so financial security, as it's talked about in the text, when it comes to financial security, I mean, maybe, because there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, to an extent, right? Like, but I can, look for opportunities to give back, which is what I was doing. Opportunities to give back to my community as much as possible. And this is where I start getting resentments. I have to star this, so I like to put a star next to things that I want to remember to talk about in my fourth step. And this is going to be a big one for me. Like, I was doing this thing that was so cool and not profitable and not anything about my financial security. Like, I work a job, and then also I was doing this, like, giving back to my community thing that, like, obviously had benefits other than giving back. Like, the altruism is great, but, like, there was, like, something in it for me that kept me going, which is it was fun. Like, I was having so much fun building community the way I was, and then it just blew up so bad in my face. Like, it was just so bad. And I mean, look, I learned a lot, but it makes it so when I answered like this, it's probably why I stopped in this section. In the pursuit of what I want, is it likely I will end up doing something that adversely affects myself or others? It's like, even if you're doing your best and think that you're only doing good, someone will be upset with you. And this is exactly in the vein of what I just struggle with, of like, how do you know? Like, how do you minimize the harm that you're causing? Like, you just have to pray. You have no choice. Like, you just have to turn it over to a power greater than yourself. There's only so much you can do. In terms of adversely affecting myself, though, I do think that there's more I can do there. So, for my myself. I overwork so bad. So bad. And like beat myself up when I'm not perfect. And those things absolutely have led me to relapse before. So they're red flag items. It's like I can only do my best. I can only do my best. You can only do your best. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say for that. I'll talk to my sponsor about it too. Will I have to compromise any of my principles to achieve this goal? To achieve this goal, will I have to compromise any of my principles? It's like, I feel like these questions are so contingent on what the goal is that you're talking about. So I'm glad we spent some time defining it, but will I have to compromise any of my principles? So, at this stage in my development, like spiritually, my main principle is like my growth mindset, like my resilience, care, empathy for others. And so if my goal is like take better care of myself and my family, then no, I don't think so. Just continue to try to learn and grow and change. No. But I don't know, finding ways to give back, like altruism, apparently can be a slippery slope. And also with, exercise and even recovery, I can overdo it in a way that backfires. So would I have to compromise my principles? And then the examples it gives is, would I have to be dishonest, cruel, or disloyal? No, I wouldn't have to be any of those. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting because that question, like the first question, will pursuing my goals harm anyone, is reliant on you knowing what your goals are. The second question, in the pursuit of what I want, is it likely I will end up doing something that adversely affects myself or others? You will need to know exactly what it is that you are pursuing, so you have to know what you want. And then the third question, will I have to compromise any of my principles to achieve this goal? You have to know what your principles are to answer that question. And those three questions, those three things, are notoriously, in my experience, three things that in early recovery I did not know, especially my first, I don't know what my principles are. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to hold down a job and not, so I just want to say, I've been in and out of the rooms, but I've basically been on a recovery journey, well, so, actually, how many years? At least 14 years, which is not that old. I started going to meetings really young, and I put together 2 years before I even turned 23. And then I went back out, and I had 8 months, and I had 3 months, and I had 8 months, and I had 2 months, and I had 1 day, months, and then I went back, like, and all that time still matters. I never gave up. But I will say this, 14 years ago, if you're new, even if you're in your third year, it's like, you might not know how to answer those questions. But especially if you're working the steps for the first time, like, knowing your goals, what you want, and what your principles are, like, dude, like, hey, hang in there, like, just, like, keep coming back, because it's hard for me to answer right now, and I think about this stuff every day. So, I guess I can honestly say, I don't think that I would have to compromise my principles to achieve the goal. I really hope that I can, like, have faith that things will work out. That's, like, my biggest issue, really, is, like, how can I trust that things are going to be okay? There's a blurb here, so I'm going to read it. If we are new in the program and just beginning to work step 3, we will probably end up wondering what God's will is for us, thinking that the step asks us to find this out. Actually, we don't formally focus our attention on seeking knowledge of our higher power's will for us until the 11th step. But we do begin the process that will lead us to that point in step 3. God's will for us is something we will gradually come to know as we work the steps. At this point, we can come to some very simple conclusions about our higher power's will for us that will serve us well for the time being. It is our higher power's will for us to stay clean. It is our higher power's will for us to do things that will help us stay clean, such as going to meetings and talking to our sponsor regularly. Okay, and then there's 2 questions here. Describe the times when my will hasn't been enough. For example, I couldn't stay clean on my own will. It's a good example. And then, what is the difference between my will and God's will? Okay. Times when my will hasn't been enough. It's like everything. I don't know. I don't really want to list every single thing. Like, literally everything. I'm like, despite my best efforts, I'm gonna write this, despite my mic shift. Despite my best efforts, the redacted situation exploded. I lost, man, at least dozens of friends. Like hundreds of, literal hundreds of, like, acquaintances or whatever. Which, like, I don't know, do you lose an acquaintance? It never forms into a friendship, I guess. And, like, myself. And then my sobriety. And I lost my sobriety too when I couldn't dig my own self out of the quote-unquote hole, even with measured and constructive action. Just seems like it wasn't meant to be. And God, oh God, was doing for me what I could not do for myself, what I could not do for myself. God was doing for me what I could not do for myself. It wasn't God's will for that situation to work out, and I did my absolute best over and over again in some horrible situations that people who knew, like, were like, I feel so bad for you. This sucks. At the end of the day, for me, what's really important is that I don't give up. Like, what's the difference between my will and just like everybody else, trying to preserve myself, trying to stay alive on this planet. And unfortunately, sometimes the things that we have to do as humans to survive kind of suck. They're really hard, and we have to make decisions that are impossible. And so I just have to trust that it's all going to work out in the long run. So trust that it will all work out in the long run. Question mark, question mark. I mean, that might be the difference between my will and God's will. Is God's will equals mysterious, unknown, supposedly for the best, question mark. I believe it, right? Like, I just have to believe that what happened to me is because I am charging a road toward happy destiny, and there's like something even cooler for me in the future, and like what I was doing was just not it for me. So I have to trust that. I have to have faith that things happen for a reason, or at the very least, things will be okay one way or another. Like, if there wasn't like some grand plan, then at the very least, let this next iteration of whatever I do with my time be more fulfilling and important than the last thing was. Like, I felt like I was helping a lot of people, and maybe I will help even more people now that that thing is gone and my time is freed up and my energy is freed up. I mean, you never know. So while I thought I was doing the right thing, it didn't work out, and I think I've said it 95 times in this video, but what's the most important is that I don't give up. I cannot give up. At the very least, I have to have faith that things happen for a reason, or at the very least, things are going to be okay. Okay, things are going to be okay. We're gonna stop there for today, because I have to go to a meeting. And also, I'm curious to know if you're watching this still, if you had thoughts on these questions and maybe came up with answers of your own that you'd want to share, that you're comfortable sharing. I'd actually love to know what other people's goals are. I'd love to know how people answered the question about what their principles are in terms of having goals, and trying to like survive as a human.